My brothers, hold on tight, because something big is happening in the AFC North. And this time, it's not rumors, not speculation, it's pure reality. While a certain rival is crumbling under its own weight, the black and gold might be standing right on the edge of taking full control of the division. Now, before we dive into the story that could decide who rules the North for the rest of the season, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't joined the family yet, and drop a comment below. Do you believe this is the year the Steelers finally take the AFC North crown for good? Grab your terrible towel, wave it high, and come with me, because what's happening in Pittsburgh right now could change everything. Here we go. Steelers Nation. Steelers Nation. Something is shifting in the AFC North, and it's not just another rumor. While the Ravens crumble under the weight of another Lamar Jackson injury, the Steelers might be standing right on the edge of taking total control of the division. The story that's unfolding right now could decide who rules the North for the rest of the season. Baltimore, sitting at a miserable 1-4 start to their 2025 campaign, just got hit with more bad news. Lamar Jackson's hamstring injury will keep him out again this week as the Ravens face the Los Angeles Rams, a team that's been firing on all cylinders with Matthew Stafford connecting with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Without Lamar, the Ravens are heavy underdogs, even at home. Their defense? Collapsing. They're allowing an unbelievable 35 points per game, dead last in the league by a wide margin. And the longer this goes on, the harder it becomes for them to climb out. Think about it. If Baltimore drops to 1-5 and the Steelers handle business against Cleveland and Cincinnati, two very winnable divisional games, Pittsburgh could be sitting at 5-1. That's a 4-game advantage midway through the season. If that happens, Baltimore would need a miracle run just to stay alive. They'd have to go 9-2 the rest of the way just to reach 10 wins, and even that might not be enough for a playoff spot. It's not looking good in purple and black, and that's music to every Pittsburgh fan's ears. But make no mistake, Mike Tomlin's crew isn't letting up. Inside the Steelers facility, the message is clear: no complacency. Players like Juan Thornhill are already saying, "The Ravens aren't done. Trust me." That mentality tells you all you need to know about how Tomlin has this locker room locked in. The mission isn't just to beat bad teams, it's to dominate the division and make sure no one even gets a sniff of the crown. And you know what? Analysts across the league are noticing. Dan Orlovsky from ESPN said it best: "This is the easiest division to win in the NFL right now. It would be a massive disappointment if the Steelers don't win it." He's right.
If Pittsburgh can't close the deal this season, when every factor, from injuries in Baltimore to inconsistencies in Cleveland and chaos in Cincinnati, is swinging their way, then when will they? This is the year the Steelers went all in. They gave Tomlin everything he asked for: Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf, and a defense stacked with veterans built to win right now. If they can't win the division with this group, in a season where Baltimore looks broken, the Bengals are scrambling, and the Browns can't find rhythm, then it's fair to question what comes next. The idea of trading Tomlin, yes, actually trading him, for a first-round pick isn't just fan talk anymore. If Pittsburgh doesn't close this deal, those whispers could turn into real conversations inside the front office. Right now, the momentum is fully in black and gold. The Steelers' defense is cohesive, aggressive, and intelligent. Even with Jalen Ramsey sidelined for the next couple of games, Terrell Austin has a plan. He called Ramsey the Swiss Army knife that keeps the system balanced, but he's ready to adapt. The likely move? Sliding Deshaun Elliott into that big nickel role, the same position Ramsey plays, while Jabril Peppers steps up at strong safety. It's a smart adjustment. Elliott has experience in the slot, can blitz effectively, and is one of the best communicators on the field, exactly the kind of player you want managing pre-snap reads in Ramsey's absence. Peppers, meanwhile, is coming off a massive game against the Patriots where he earned a 90-plus PFF grade and forced a fumble. He brings aggression and energy that fits perfectly with Pittsburgh's defensive identity. These aren't desperate patchwork moves. They're calculated adjustments by a staff that knows how to maintain its rhythm even when stars go down. But let's shift to the other side of the ball, because this is where things get even more interesting. Arthur Smith, the Steelers' offensive coordinator, spoke candidly this week about his philosophy, especially the use of jumbo personnel and the reason behind the team's lack of deep passes. He's not hiding from criticism. Instead, he's explaining the bigger picture. This offense is built around control, timing, and trust. Smith highlighted Spencer Anderson, who's been lining up as a tight end in those heavy sets. Smith called him a hell of an athlete and said the Steelers wouldn't be using these big packages unless they believed it created an advantage. Don't forget, Anderson's not just a blocker. Aaron Rodgers himself mentioned that Anderson's got great hands. Multiple people inside the team have hinted that he could even catch a pass for a touchdown soon. Whether that's a real plan or just some psychological chess to mess with opponents, one thing's certain, this coaching staff is creative and confident. Now, about that passing game, yes, it's true, the Steelers currently sit dead last in average depth of target. But that's not a flaw, it's by design. Rodgers has been laser focused on quick reads and short passes because defenses are sitting back in too high safety looks. As Smith explained, when we call a play, I trust Aaron Rodgers. If he doesn't like the pre-snap look, he checks it down. We're not forcing bad throws. Quarterbacks coach Tom Arth doubled down on that logic. If you chase big plays when the looks aren't there, you'll have bad days and fall behind the sticks. That's textbook discipline. The Steelers are taking what defenses give them, not forcing highlight reel throws that end in turnovers. It's working, and it fits the roster perfectly. This offense is built for yards after the catch. DK Metcalf currently leads the entire league in YAC. Jonnu Smith is a designated short area threat, and Jaylen Warren continues to shine as a receiving back. The quick pass rhythm suits Rodgers' efficiency and the O-line's strengths. But here's the twist. That might all change this week. The next opponent, the Cleveland Browns, love to play one high safety coverages. That means Rodgers will get more opportunities to throw deep, and we might finally see those bombs to Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, and even Roman Wilson, whose 4.3 speed can torch defenses if given the chance. Expect Pittsburgh to stretch the field and remind everyone that Rodgers still has one of the best deep balls in football. Steelers fans, this could be the week where everything comes together. The defense holding strong even without Ramsey, the offense expanding its playbook, and the division tilting even further in our favor. Now, I want to hear from you. If the Ravens fall again and Pittsburgh rises to 5-1, do you believe this team has the AFC North locked up already? Or do you think the Steelers still have something to prove before we start waving those terrible towels in full playoff mode? Because if this team keeps playing like it has been, disciplined, physical, and unified, it won't just win the AFC North. It'll send a message to the rest of the NFL that the Steelers are officially back among the elite. And you can feel it, can't you? That old-school Pittsburgh swagger starting to creep back in, the one built on defense that punishes you for 4 quarters and an offense that's smart enough to take what it's given, but bold enough to strike when the moment's right. Look around the division. The Ravens look broken without Lamar, the Bengals are hanging by a thread, and the Browns, well, they're still trying to figure out who they are on offense. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, the plan is coming together exactly as designed. Tomlin has a roster of battle-tested veterans, the locker room is unified, and Aaron Rodgers, yeah, that Rodgers, is finally looking comfortable in black and gold. Think about how surreal that is for a second. Rodgers, one of the most methodical passers in NFL history, now orchestrating this offense with Arthur Smith, who's crafting an identity around controlled aggression. It's not flashy football, it's effective football. Smith isn't chasing the highlight reel. He's building rhythm, confidence, and chemistry. And that's exactly what you need heading into November and December football, when every yard starts to feel like a fight. And let's not gloss over the way the defense has adjusted without Ramsey. Terrell Austin's flexibility deserves serious praise. When you lose a piece like Ramsey, a guy who can play nickel, safety, corner, blitz, and communicate like a coach on the field, most teams panic. Not Pittsburgh. They adapt. Moving Deshaun Elliott into that big nickel role and inserting Jabril Peppers at strong safety doesn't just fill the gap, it redefines it. Elliott's communication and physicality make him a natural fit, and Peppers brings the heat every snap. You can tell the defense hasn't skipped a beat because of how well drilled this group is. And speaking of cohesion, one name that doesn't get enough love, Spencer Anderson. Fans might see him as just another utility guy, but Smith clearly sees something more. Using Anderson and Darnell Washington together in jumbo sets is vintage Steelers football, the kind that wins in the trenches. Smith said himself, "We wouldn't use heavy personnel if we didn't think it gives us an advantage." That's the kind of subtle chess move that turns 3-yard runs into 8-yard punishments. When Anderson climbs to the second level and moves linebackers out of the way, you start to realize how calculated this offense is. And don't be shocked if you see Anderson leak out into the flat this week, maybe even for a touchdown. Multiple insiders have teased that the Steelers might have something cooked up for him. Is it real or just mind games? Doesn't matter. What matters is that opponents are now forced to prepare for it. Every little distraction counts when you're setting traps on Sunday. The bigger question, though, is sustainability. Can this style, fast throws, heavy sets, short routes, actually last an entire season? According to Arthur Smith and Tom Arth, yes, absolutely. And frankly, they're right. This strategy protects the quarterback, neutralizes elite pass rushers, and keeps defenses guessing. It's exactly how a veteran-led team wins 10, 11, 12 games in the modern NFL. But the real fun starts when defenses overcorrect. Once they drop that second safety and start stacking the box, Rodgers is going to torch them deep. You can see it coming. The Browns this week might be the first to test it, and that's when guys like DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin III become lethal. Metcalf's been leading the league in yards after the catch, and Austin's speed forces single coverage nightmares. Combine that with Roman Wilson waiting to explode down the sideline, and you start to get a glimpse of what this offense might look like when it finally opens up. And let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers lives for that. He's been patient, controlled, almost surgical through 4 weeks, but you know that competitor in him is itching to let it fly. The man's deep ball is still one of the most beautiful weapons in football. So when the Browns line up in those one-high looks, don't blink, because that might be the moment we see this offense truly unlock. If it happens, and Pittsburgh walks out of Cleveland with another statement win, it's not just another victory. It's confirmation that this team isn't just beating who it should, it's evolving. They're finding ways to win in multiple styles. Grind it out on defense? Check. Play small ball offense? Check. Air it out when the moment's right? That's next. And let's circle back to what this means for the bigger picture, because make no mistake, the AFC North race could be over by the end of October if things break the way they're trending. The Ravens are imploding, the Bengals are lost, and the Browns are about to run into a buzzsaw. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, could be 5-1 and sitting comfortably atop the division with a favorable stretch ahead. If that happens, the conversation shifts. No more can the Steelers win the North. It becomes, how far can they go in January? But the stakes aren't just about standings. They're about legacy. Mike Tomlin has been given everything he asked for.